important, the focus that's been put on the role of the NSA. I mean, obviously, it's the globe's largest spy organization with an incredible capacity to vacuum up all of our data, and obviously it makes sense. But local law enforcement agencies are running those operations also, and they're not relying on the NSA. I mean, it's very easy for police forces, for federal, in the U.S. it's the FBI, for federal forces that are investigating people to be all over your business. And I do think that we have seen a rise in paramilitary style forces, certainly in the U.S., where every municipality now seems to have its own SWAT style team. And that's going to have, the people that's going to hit the hardest are people in economically poor areas, or economically targeted areas, and in communities of color and in immigrant communities in the United States. And privatization, there are certain areas in the United States where they have private firefighting forces. In areas where there are wildfires, if you are left to the services of government-funded entities, your property is going to burn. And so the wealthy hire their own firefighting forces to go and put out the fires, and they're only going to put out the fires of the wealthy. In New Orleans, in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, I personally saw Israeli mercenaries deploy on the streets of an American city and operate a checkpoint. And they work for a company called Instinctive Shooting International. And they were stopping American citizens' cars because they were hired by the owners of a gated community to try to prevent looters from coming in. And they were Israeli paramilitaries that landed a helicopter in a park across the street from this gated community. And, so I think we see a glimpse into the future whenever there's disaster, and those in power try to push forward the agenda. But it has everything to do with the surveillance that this gentleman was talking about on communities that are politicized because of attacks against them. And also, the surveillance state extends not just to local law enforcement. Corporations are probably the biggest spies on all of us in terms of online. And there are private intelligence companies that are hired by major corporations to do surveillance on activists and to gather data on people who potentially could affect their profits. So, the NSA is a huge part of this, but there's a big trickle down.